Good morning, Wiggle here. The old man winter showed up. It's Tuesday the 4th, I believe. Yesterday I spent some time on the deep freeze meat locker. We cleared this driveway with four-wheel drive. I just drove it back and forth. Couldn't get the loader to start. It just doesn't like the cold. Really hard to start nowadays. We got some decent amount of snow yesterday. My 12-volt fridge panel up there is completely covered, and I tilted those just in time up there. So I also insulated my batteries, my flooded lead acid batteries yesterday. It was quite the blizzard for a little while. So we got down to 13 degrees last night. Pretty cold for us here. We don't usually get down below 20, but of course, unaided, the tank froze. Maybe not the tank, but the pump on the outside, because we had like 60 degrees a couple days ago, so we have decent ground temperatures, and I don't think that water got that cold that quickly. However, this dude froze up. And we had water early this morning, well before dawn, and then it quit working. So I'm assuming it froze up very late or very early in the morning, in the pre-dawn hours. It finally froze up. So I am trying to just thaw out this plumbing and see what the damage is. Hopefully we didn't lose a pump or a filter or valve or anything like that drastic. I'm just not sure where we're at. We had no water coming out, so I know in the house generally if I just turn the valve on, even if the pump's out, we get a trickle. No trickle this morning. So it's either this or the actual pressure tank that's frozen up, and I rather think it's this. This looks kind of frosty. Well, now look at there. We have water. It was, I couldn't turn this valve earlier, and I don't see anything leaking. I think it just frosted up a little bit. Let me go turn on the pump, see if we got water. This little bit may have done it. Let me go ahead. Well, I'll just leave it on. And then I'll talk. I'm going to go see if that actually fixes the problem. So I'm going to go turn the power on. Be right back with you. Here we are. First of all, let me just turn the pump. And I cobbled together this old insulation around my battery bank. This piece underneath it. It's wrapped all around with a little gap. And then the deep freeze is back. The problem is that's wide open. That's wide open. And then I got the tie back closing in the cracks at least where the wood shrank. I definitely need to insulate these openings. I might just go ahead and insulate this whole building. I've got insulation laying around. I didn't insulate around that shower, unfortunately. Because that's an interior wall. I definitely need to at least insulate above it. At any rate, let's see if the water's working. I'll jump in here. Nope, no water on this side. We're on this side of the pressure tank, got nothing. So, we have other water issues. So let me go check the hydrant out there. So no gushing water here. I'm gonna go out to that hydrant out in the, and see if we got anything coming out of that. So we got zip. This is on the gravity side of it should work. The density side of everything. This is way on the other side of the pressure tank and all of that. If there's any water coming out of the tank, it should be pushing out here, and that's a really deep line, so I wouldn't necessarily believe that thing is frozen deep underneath all this snow with the high ground temperatures we had. Just not likely. The problem is either now that maybe the pump's still frozen up, we'll just let the heat keep working. At this point, I'm not sure what the problem is, but one thing is apparent. I do have 2 pieces of R10 insulation. Uh-oh, we got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. I'll get back in here. Alright, I did turn the main tank off from the tank, the main valve off from the tank, the 1.5-inch valve, 2-inch valve, whatever that is, 1.5-inch valve. Turned that off and it turned, which is good. And then I turned the water off coming from the solar pump there. So we have definitely lost a filter, and well, remains to be seen about our pump here. So I've got to take this filter out. I don't have a replacement one of these little sediment filters. But we definitely found our problem, and this is going to be the water from the top of the tank, top valve. So yeah, that's not lovely, but okay, yeah, at least the tank's not completely full, which is good. I'm going to go see if my other thing is see how the solar pump is doing. I'm hoping we just didn't lose. Now I can actually turn this on now. So anything coming out of the lines up here, if they're frozen, the pump's higher than everything else, which is good. because a few feet does make a difference in an insulated structure like this. It was insulated. I'm going to put another additional R10 layer around this lower part here and extend it out and put yet another layer of R10. But what we're really going to need is a light bulb in here, and I have a plan for that. I am using my little buddy heater here, a little propane heater, very handy. So I don't mind so much losing that little filter. I do not want to lose a pump. And I don't think it really froze solid. I think it just kind of frosted up with a little light, ice around. Because if it was frozen solid, it wouldn't have already thawed out so much. I think it was just icing around the filter, screens, and so forth, enough to clog it up. I'm going to go get some. I'm down here on my knees in the snow. We'll just see. I'm going to go ahead and try to replace that filter with just a piece of pipe. And then, yeah, I'll just cut the pipe. Unthread the pipe and then thread a new pipe in, a new fitting, cut it, unthread it, cut it, take this out of the way, get just a regular 1/2-inch coupling here and then another male adapter there, so it'll just be one piece to replace all that. Pretty straightforward as long as I have the parts. And we'll go ahead and it's nice and warm now. I'm going to go ahead and turn the pump off though, because I had turned it back on. I don't want it on just now. So I'll get back with you and figure this out. Well, there's my array for my deep well 24 volt deep well pump, and there's no snow on it, so it should be up and running. So it says it's up and running. Power in, power out. So it's running, pumping water somewhere underneath that ice. You can hear it. So no problems with that, which I wouldn't expect that there was, because there was water sitting out front. I'm gonna go see what kind of fittings I have. There's a temperature in here, probably like 46 or something. No help, but glory be. Look what I found. 1/2-inch coupling, 1/2-inch male adapter. I just got to take the fitting off. I have rings. Now I just need to find a piece of pipe, and I'll be able to fix that. Hopefully. So I just took a pair of needle nose and just racked that fitting back and forth. Then I'll just cut with the razor knife, and then I'll have another fitting used, but at least I have something to work with. And underneath all this snow, I don't know where my pipe is. It's going to be fun to find that. But I have fittings, which I was surprised. Boy, did I ever get lucky. Piece of 1/2-inch. I have plenty of that low pressure stuff for drip lines. I don't have very much of that high pressure stuff. Regular plumbing pipe. This was laying out in the snow. Luckily, I dug it up. That could have been a real pain having to go 50-mile round trip to get a piece of pipe. I just got to round up some tools and try to get this thing fixed. Nothing like excellent organization, huh? Sorry I didn't show it getting done when I get my GoPro, which I ordered at the end of the year for business expense. When I get that, I would show, at least in slow motion, how I did this. But I got all the old stuff out of the way and put the new stuff in. Just waiting for this pipe to cool it. I'll clamp those last two. And I'll turn these valves on and see what we're looking at. And I'll go warm up. I've been sitting out here in the snow in the 20s, and I'm just ready to warm my toes up. Hopefully we'll have water. We'll be able to see it flowing through this here in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten these and then turn the water on. All right, here we go, live and in person. That's from the solar pump. Obviously it has pressure. I can kind of hear it trickling in. All right, so now the trick is that all my leaks. Let me turn this one on. Oh, well, okay. We should turn that off. All right. Sounds like I have water flowing, and I don't see any leaks around my pump, which is good. So I'm gonna put this thing on low. Maybe I'll leave it on pilot. It'll stay lit on pilot. It's blowing out on me. I'm not sure of the temperature. I'm just gonna go ahead and shut it off. I don't see water flowing though. Should have water flowing if it's not frozen solid somewhere. Did I turn that valve on all the way is the question. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put my piece of foam on here, then walk over there and see if we get water coming out of that hydrant. Now there's somewhat of a insulation. I'm gonna just walk over and see if we get water coming out. This is not necessarily good news. I mean, something else is frozen somewhere, or all that stuff didn't become unfroze. No water coming in, no water moving, so something else is frozen. I'm gonna leave the buddy heater on. I just got called for breakfast. So I'm just gonna leave it on just like that. We got the leak fixed, and there is water moving, at least out of the tank. So now, I don't know if this pump is frozen up, but even if well, we'll see. I'm gonna go eat. We'll reconvene in a little bit. Well, I just flipped on I better go double check that. I just flipped on the breaker for my pressure pump. I'm gonna go see if we got water gushing out. I flipped on the pressure pump and tried that hydrant in that chicken house and it came rushing out. Lobby. We got water moving. Didn't lose a pump, just lost a filter. One little filter. I'm going to put my foam on here and shut this heater off. Hallelujah. We left that on this one. Good thing I was here. Well, such as things go, I'm going to need this as well. But glory be, I had a 3/4 PEX valve in stock with all this stuff. That is a miracle. So I got the rings, I got the crimper. I got to go out to where I was working. Let me see what I did. So I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're working on your own well and your water is frozen and your hot water tank has had the opportunity to drain, well, rushing in that cold, really cold ice cold water, you know, that just barely thawed, 33 degrees, rushing into your hot tank, it can actually cause your tank to explode, rupture. I've lost not one but 2 tanks that way. So one for sure. Older one might not have, but it was a newer one and I did that and sure enough I ruined the tank. So what you want to do is shut off your water, your cold water to your tank. You want to shut that off when you're thawing out your water. So you don't blow up your tank. Don't rupture your tank. So I came in here and turned this valve off, and of course it's an all plastic PEX valve and it failed me. I don't think it's related to anything other than I just turned it and now it's leaking, so I got to replace it. But I have the parts thankfully, so I got to shut the water off and then come in here and change out this valve. So I'm going to go get my cutters and shut off my water. So it's up to 30, so they say, but I see things dripping, melting the stuff in the sun at least, so that's good. As far as air temperature at 30 and in the sun, I'm not too worried about this thing freezing back up yet. So I'm after my plumbing tools. I'm actually not going to need them out here, so I'm going to drag them in the house. So what I got to do is, what I did have going on is I had, or you could reach down to the top here to do the plumbing work, and it's not very convenient at all. Trying to work in that little bitty space. So I'm going to insulate this top very well, and then I'm going to just close in the top and just use this as a shelf. What I am going to do is extend this part. I'm going to build it out, put a piece of flashing, build it out, and that way I'll have yet another layer of insulation. And then I'm going to run a pipe heater thing I got from Goodwill. Got to run an AC cord out here. It's going to be 22 tonight, so I don't want any more freezing problems. I have found and ordered some 50-watt 24-volt DC bulbs, and I already have some sockets. So I'm going to wire these right into the wire that's coming in for the well pump or the pressure pump, and then I'll just put them on a switch for now. I might switch over a thermostat, but I trust the switch more. I just got to make sure to come out and switch it on. Be sure to switch it off when it's done, but I'd rather know for sure that it's working. So I just noticed cedar trees down. OCD. Distracted. Don't look super big, but I could probably get at least a post out of them. But that's no telling how many we've lost around the property. But I see 2 decent sized ones. Well, it was windy up here too, so probably up here on the ridge is more likely where we're going to lose them. So anyway, so I'm going to be working on getting another solid layer of insulation around this, so I'll be bumping all this out, and then I'll make sure to have light bulbs in there. I just want to double insulate it, and I want to have another door. I'm going to put a door here because it's where I was in here working. If I ever need to open the door again, it'll be easier to get in there and work on those valves and stuff. Working down from the top wouldn't have really been possible anyway. And if I leave a little extra room, maybe I can even put a little heater in there. I think putting this thing in there on pilot probably be sufficient. I might just do that. I might just leave enough room for a little buddy heater. Forget bringing the cord all the way out here. That's going backwards. At least this would be off grid. So I'll just leave enough space, and just on pilot it'll bring enough heat. Leaving on pilot, you can heat a tent. Small, little tent, not a big tent, because I've done it. I know it's probably not very smart. I just don't sleep with it on. So anyway, I'm gonna go fix this leaky Gotta turn off the water here. Gotta go. Gotta turn off my pressure valve too. So I'll turn this off with my main water. I'll turn off my pressure valve and then go fix that leaky PEX valve. Snip, snip with these. Cut that old valve off. Snip, snip, and then crimp, crimp. It's all in there. I just clamp them with that. And there you have it. We'll see how we're doing. Water back on. It takes longer to go around, turn everything on and off than it does to actually do the work. And then, of course, you had to drain the system. And it took a long while for it to drain. Probably drained at least 10 gallons. It seems like drained faster than that. I was like, man, is the water off? Finally drained out though. Now, I'll turn the off-grid 24 volt pressure pump back on my fancy QO AC breaker rated for DC. Here we go. And then back to the house. No leak. Hot water back on. The acidic water here eats valves and fittings and stuff. I put the plastic thing in. It didn't even last me 2 stinking years. Maybe like a year. Not very long. What a disappointment that is, I'll tell you. Well, here's my Goodwill special, 99 cents, 6-foot regular AC current. So maybe if I just wrap this around my pipes and insulate them. Pipe insulation, if I can find any. I do have some, I just gotta find it. Maybe that will do the trick. Keep things safe. I want to use that buddy heater, but I'll have to make a much bigger space for it. And when I get my 12-volt bulb, 24-volt bulbs, that will do the trick. I won't need even the AC. I'm just gonna run the AC just because it's so cold for us for the next how many ever weeks. Just plug it, unplug it. I'll just do that for now. So I'm gonna go out there and put some more insulation on it. Well, I found myself a little localized solar hotspot. I guess that's not hard to do. Just depends where you look, I guess. So, by this old cedar tree here, up on the top of the ridge, it's a little thermal catch. And it was a break from the wind as well, so the snow didn't drift up here. It got blown off the top, basically. And now I have a little dry, warm spot that I can sit here and work just for me. Very nice. So, let me show you what I'm doing. So I peeled off these white oak strips earlier. Now I put myself another piece of treated along the bottom there, and another piece of treated here, and I pushed it out 2 inches. So my foam, I'll take those boards off, put my foam, and put the boards right back. Trying to just reuse my boards. I'm going to do the same type of thing here. I'll put a little, well, I'll probably just use the really long screws to just get through the foam. Pressure pump sticking off. Little hole down there is for my drain coming out of my little swirl filter. So I've basically framed this in for a bigger piece of insulation. And my insulation is not measuring, it's a little wonky. I mean, I cut my insulation straight, but my boards, I have a 1/2 inch off here, 1/2 inch off there. So I'm just going to loosen the screws and push the insulation in there real nice. And then screw the boards right up to the insulation. That way I don't have any gaps, I don't have a lot of cutting or anything. It'll just be the best way to seal it all up. So I've got my R10 and then I'll put another R10 behind it. And also it's not lined up, so it makes sure there's less places for the wind to blow through. You see what I'm saying? That next piece will overlap this piece, so we'll stop the air infiltration. Alright, here we are. I've constructed this side hatch so I can get in there. I got these 2 pieces of insulation that go in there, and I've zip tied heat. Got a 6-foot heater cord for pipes. So it starts there. I took it along the pump all the way down this pump part. This is what froze. This is what froze. However, that's coming in from the deep well. That is important, but it's not critical, especially at night. It's not even going to be running. If it cracks, the top part of my tank will leak out. But the critical thing is my pump. I don't want to freeze my pump. So that's why I focused the heat on the pump and down on my main valve. That would be a nightmare to try to fix that with water leaking out at 5,000 miles an hour. And I only had so much, so you can see I terminated it down there along the pipe that is coming. This pipe is coming out of the ground. That's where the pressure is going to. That's going into the house. But I wanted to have more at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get some pipe insulation on what I can. And then the ultimate plan is to have the 24 volt halogen, like 50 watt bulb down in here to kick off heat, running off the same wire. But I don't have that, so this is my temporary fix. Hopefully we'll be fine. If not, I'll be back out here fixing it. But it's definitely, it's working. It's plugged in. It's getting warm. I don't know what that button thing is. I guess it's some kind of fusible link or something. So anyway, everything's back together. I'll get my insulation in there in a minute. And here's where I brought the, storing the extra cord in there. So I just brought the cord in. Sheesh, I've been having this on the wide. I apologize. We're zoomed in. So here's the, and it runs all the way over to the building. It's on a ground fault. So I'm going to go find some insulation. Well, I didn't have enough to do the job. I can't find it. So I just put a few scrap pieces of pipe insulation I had. So now I'll just close up this 2 pieces of insulation and shut the door. Let the cord do its job. Not a very fulfilling day, I tell you. Well, but wandering around the snow trying to find stuff. And then working on this little thing here. Took all of my day. Got that last piece in under there. I'm going to have to work this other side tomorrow. I'm just going to have to take the day as kind of a loss. But I did what I could. Get a latch on this thing. Oh, I can't open it. Make sure the light's on. It was on earlier. Lights on, so the heating element is working. So I definitely need to do some more work on this thing, but that's where we're at for today. Sun's about down, so I'm just going to wrap it up. I'm soggy, wet, cold, and just, no. I'm bummed out. Didn't go that well. This board warping on me. Sheesh. The fun never ends. What a project this has been. Alright, y'all have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Wiggle out.